Hello, my front-end friends. I recently came across this effect right here, or not this effect, but this code pen right here by John Katner that has a very popular effect going on right now with this frosted glass, the gradient border, and a few other things. And I wanted to see if I could recreate it. And we're going to do that because I think it's a really useful skill to find something that looks cool and try and redo it. But the nice thing is if it's on CodePen, you can take a look at their code really easily to be able to do it. And you don't have to worry about like generated classes and other things like that that you might find on a live working site. So I'm not going to look at their code now. I don't want to break it down. I want to see if I can recreate what he's done here. And if I get stuck along the way, I'll poke around because I do see a blending mode going on here. That those are something that I know how they work, but I don't always do a great job with them. And so yeah, we're going to dive in and create that and see what we can do. And we're going to be starting with a nice blank slate to start with. All I've done is copied his colors. The bright blue color here and the background color is all I have in place, and I put a color scheme dark just so we don't have a white canvas to start on. And we're going to come in here and we'll start with a card class, so div with a class of card. And we did have a bit of text in there. I might as well just take the same text that he had. I might not do the exact layout with the X, Y, Z over here because that's not as interesting as the other parts of this. But we can just come in here. I'll just do it as a paragraph, but it doesn't really matter too much for this type of little demo thing. And let's come in, I guess, on my body. We'll start with a min block size, which is our vertical size or our height. And we're going to say that this is 100 VH. That will give us a something. When I say a something, it'll give us a scroll bar to start with on the side there, just because the body has a margin on it. So we will also come up here and just say everything has a margin of 0. And we'll also we're going to be using pseudo elements here. So we will do our star, our before, and our after have a box sizing of border box right there. Awesome. So we'll save this. Just auto save goes on my code pen, so we stop getting all these pop-ups coming up the entire time. And we're going to dive in and let's get this centered so we can use a display of grid and a place items of center to drop this right in the middle of our page. There we go. That looks pretty good. And then let's come in on the card. And like normally I wouldn't just give this a width and a height if this was a real thing. But for a demo like this, I think I'm just going to give it a width and a height. So we'll say width is like 400 pixels. And maybe I won't give it a height. I'll give it an aspect ratio of 4:3. Does that make sense? Let's see what that looks like. I guess we should give it a background color. Let's go on the body. We'll give it this one will get the background of my var body BG. And my card for now, let's give that, I think it had some padding, so we'll give it padding of 1 rem, and then we'll give it a background of, I'm going to do an HSL 0, because the hue doesn't matter, 0% for saturation, and 50% for the lightness of it, because I want a gray. Just because I know with these frosted glass effects, it's way too light, but you need to have a background on it for it to work. I think we'll play around with that a little bit, but that's what I remember. Let's just put this at 0.2 or something. So we get a box. It's in the middle of the page, and I think that should be fine. I think this will be like a 4/2 though, because it looks a little bit too boxy. Maybe a 2.5. I don't know. Was it like 16:9? Maybe it's like a 16:9, but whatever. We'll do that. I think it had a pretty aggressive border radius. We'll say a border radius of 1 rem. And that looks pretty good. Now let's go and take a look here. And we have a few different things going on. We have the border that's coming on that. And there's a few different ways you can do gradient borders like this. But because we have a border radius, we can't use a border image. So we have to decide if we want to do it as a pseudo element using a mask, or do we just want to set it as a border? And I think I'm just going to set it as a regular border because we need to have a solid background color. Anyway, maybe we can't do that actually. So this is where yeah, because that's transparent, because there's one way we could set this, and this is always my first thought, is to create the border like this using there's a way to do it with 2 backgrounds basically, and one background is a little bit bigger than the other background using the background origin property. That won't work though, because when you do that, you layer your backgrounds, and by lowering the opacity of the middle background, we would just be seeing the other background. So we're going to have to use a pseudo element for the one on the outside and mask it. And then we're going to need, this will be another pseudo element, just so I don't actually have to, like, both of these, to me, it would make sense that they're pseudo elements and not regular elements. So because I know I need to have both, we're going to say a card before and the card after on here. And they'll both have our content of nothing. They're both going to have an inset of 0. They're both going to have a border radius of inherit, so they just match the border radius coming from the parent. I guess they're both going to be a position absolute, and I'm actually thinking now that I'm doing this, and this is why it's fun to talk my way through these. I enjoy doing this because now what I'm actually thinking is that the background on this will be a pseudo element, and this border, no, because then I would have to mask the text out, so that wouldn't work. The reason I was thinking that is for layering things, when you have pseudo elements involved, it can get a little bit tricky. But I think we have to take that approach. Yeah, that's going to have to be a pseudo element. So we're layering things. There is an issue that can come up when you have, it won't happen in this case, but if we wanted to use this on another site, I'll show you what, I'll hopefully remember to show you what I'm talking about in a minute. But let's come in, we'll do our card after. We'll get a, they're both going to be position absolute, right? So we'll say position absolute. I did is in the inset of 0 here is a top, bottom, left, and right of 0 already. So I sort of knew I was doing, oh, I had a position of absolute. Okay, so position absolute, inset of 0, because I want it to fit the entire space. So if I come in here with a background of red, it's going to just go on top of, oh, everything, because we need a position of relative over here to make the card the containing block. There we go. Now I want this to go behind. So here I would do a Z index of -1, and now it will go behind because it's negative. I guess actually I said red. We can just come in right away with our card BG, which is the blue color we had. I think it actually, like, I'm doing an inset here of 0 to make it match. I just find that's the easiest way to match the width and the height. And then I'm going to use a translate here. You could easily do a width and a height of 100%. And then use your top left, bottom right to position it where you want. But I'm just going to come here and say translate. And translate I always forget, but we're going to try -100 pixels, -300 pixels, and just see where that puts it. This one should be positive, so it goes down, and it should be 100, and this one is maybe, actually that looks pretty close. Okay, cool. We'll leave it like that. The problem now is with the frosted glass is really going to help us, right? Because let's do that. Now, how do we do the frosted glass effect again? It is a filter of, no, okay, we can do a filter of blur of like 10 pixels. That blurs the, oh, that's blurring my pseudo element. That's not quite what we want. But yeah, the filter of blur, I was thinking that on my card, will blur the card. Now it's going to blur that too, but it blurs the element. We don't want to do that. I'm forgetting the name of the thing, so I'm going to come back. Let's see if I can remember what it is. Worst case, I have to Google it, but it's escaping me right now. Oh. Backdrop filter of a blur, and let's just say 10 pixels. And that should blur anything behind it, but it is not working. Am I doing that wrong? Is my first thought. Oh no! So the backdrop filter is creating a new stacking context. Okay, I'm going to change, maybe like, what's Kevin talking about? Let's bring this back to a 1, so it's full opacity, and it's behind this blue thing. Ooh, I didn't think of that happening. That makes it a little bit trickier to do this with one element. Okay, so what's happening? I was a little bit worried about this in a way. Okay, this is sort of what I was talking about before, where if you do a -1 Z index, you can actually lose that element behind other elements on the page. And so often you want to create a new stacking context to keep everything together. The problem is backdrop filter inadvertently creates, like, one of the side effects is a new stacking context, which means the -1 here, it is -1, but it's -1 only within this and not within the page. So it can't actually escape out of its parent anymore, which makes this a lot harder to do with one element. I want to look to see if John here, we're going to do view source code. I only want to look at his HTML. So he has a card, which is probably that, and then he has the glass in front of it. Do we need to do that? Do we need to do that? We might need to do that. I don't want to do that though. So we're going to look at one way of maybe not having to do that. Well, the border is going to screw us up though, I think. So what I'm going to do, because this is usually what I do, is when I do this, we're actually going to make this one a -2. And instead of having a background on the element itself, we're going to keep the blur. No, this blur is not going to work anyway. So we're going to remove that from here. We're going to remove the background color from here as well. And what I do is I use a pseudo element to create the background. So then we can say our card. And this is where, like, I don't know if there's a solution for doing it with one, but I'm going to do the parts of this that I know. And that's always, like, I always go for the easy wins. Now, this might be not something that's obvious to you when you're approaching this, but it's something I've done a lot of times. So I know for one step of this, it's going to work. It won't solve my border issue because the border will be a bit of a trick. And I'll have to think about that, but I'm going to set it up in a way that I know works minus the border, and then I'll try and problem solve from there. So always start with the things you know instead of getting stuck on the things you don't know. You know, if you get 90% of the way there, it feels a lot better having that momentum, right? So let's come in with our card before, and we're just going to give that the background color, which I had in my clipboard. So now that's on top of that, which is exactly what I wanted, but we'll drop that down to like 8.2. And then we can come in with my backdrop filter of blur and do that at like 10 pixels. And hopefully that works. Ooh, that works. The problem is it's on top of my text, but because this is my pseudo element, I can do my Z index of -1. So we have the -1 here, the -2 there, and that's basically what we want. There is a really good blog post by Josh Como. Let's go look it up. Josh Como glass effect. I'm not going to do it for this one, but I would suggest you look into it, and we'll include this link in the notes here, where it's just a way to make better frosted glass effects, especially if you have movement going on. If there's no movement, it's not really as needed. But yeah, it's just a way to improve the backdrop filter and do it in a bit of a better way. It's a neat little thing. It involves clip paths. I would definitely recommend giving it a read. But we're going to come back to our thing here. We'll just leave it like this for our purposes, because this is so close yet so far. Let's again stick with the easy wins. I'm just going to improve. I'm going to say the font size on here is like what? It was quite big. Is 2rem too big? And a font weight of 700, just because it's a bit closer. It's probably a bit too big, but he had the 2 columns and stuff. We'll play around with that a little bit we can add a BR here or something. BR. Or no, the BR would probably I just want to create some extra lines. We'll do something like that just so it's, there we go. We can try and play around a little bit with the effect there, and I'm going to increase the padding slightly too. Font size, padding, let's do like a 1.5 maybe. There we go. Just so now, even then, the blending mode on the text, because if I do a blending mode now on this, it would affect that. So the blending mode would have to be on the paragraph then. So I'd do like a card P, where we could do is it blending mode? No, it's not blending mode. What do we call this? There's background blend mode. Is it just blend mode? CSS blend mode. See, even people often can mix blend mode. That's what I'm thinking. I don't use it a lot, so I don't remember these things. Mix blend mode of, it's probably not difference. You'd have to play around with these a little bit, but we'll do an inspect on here, because I think in our dev tools, we might get something that makes it easy. Oh no, okay, so is it color burn maybe? No. This is where I wish we could like try different things without having to do it this way. I don't think it's, maybe it was overlay that he was using. Okay, we'll stick with that. It's not quite right, because his is definitely more like visible here, I think. Yeah, it's not the right one, but again, I would play around with the blending mode, and maybe there's even 2 layers of text. That's always a possible thing. No, he doesn't have 2 layers of text. Okay. I wonder what blending mode he's using. But that I'm not too worried about that. I know if I just play around with the blending mode. Now the hard part, though, is getting the border on there. So that was, I don't remember which one we ended up with. That blending mode was overlay. There's another one like overlay, because I don't think it's screen. No, screen wouldn't work. Multiply wouldn't work. What's plus lighter? Screen wouldn't, soft light could work maybe? Nope. I said I wasn't going to look through them all. Color burn, darken, difference, exclusion? No, not at all. Sort of the right idea, but not good enough. Hard light doesn't work. Oh, it might be luminosity, actually. Or not. Might also be because I'm using white text. It might actually have to be a different, slightly different color, and this would work better. But we'll go with overlay for now. So overlay can go there. And then we can close our DevTools down. And now the hard part, I think. Because, yeah, so, I think for the border, I need to have another element. I could do it on the paragraph, but we could. So you could definitely do this, even if it's not a paragraph, and even if you had a ton of different things in here, as long as none of them have positioning on them, we could cheat this a little bit. Because, so we could even do this. We could just say card first child. Card first child. So it doesn't matter what the element is. The only time this would not work is if you had something that's making the first child into a containing block. So if you're using position relative on anything, like on this first child, this wouldn't work. But in any other situation, it would. So we're going to say that the first child after is a content of nothing. Then it's going to get a position of absolute, inset of 0 as well, and let's give it a background of purple. See if that shows up. Perfect. Awesome. And we'll do the border radius of inherit. So the reason, it's not inherit. Because we don't have a border radius on the paragraph, so it's not inheriting. So we'll just, a custom property would probably be the best way to go there, but I'll just do this for now. So what's happening here is the reason this is working is even though it's on the paragraph, it's getting positioned relative to the card because the card is the nearest ancestor that has positioning on it, which is creating that containing block. So yeah, I like this approach. This is one of those things that if somebody were to come across this in a CSS file they didn't write, or if you even came across it later on, it might be a little bit confusing. So a comment here explaining the purpose of this would probably be useful. And I would just say something like creating border by taking advantage of the card being the containing block. Something like that to let people know what's happening. So I know this is for the border and not for something else, because the fact that we're doing it on the first child, it makes it a little bit strange for sure. And if nobody knows what the containing block is when they come across this, it gives them an opportunity to look that up because they should know what containing blocks are, which is just what holds positioned elements, right? Basically, or controls them. Now I don't want a background like this. And actually my inset here, we're going to do a few things. We'll keep that, but let's do we'll keep background is going to be purple again. We're going to do a Z index of -1 to bring it behind the text, because that's the important part, is it is behind the text. But I'm going to do I'm actually wondering if this should be just to make sure my layering is good, because I want it to be in front of the blurry thing. So we're going to say this is a 2, this is a 3, and then this one can get a Z index. So it's -1, then -2, then -3. And my inset here is actually going to mean -1 pixel. And that means top, bottom, left, and right are -1, so it's pulling it out by 1. If we did this as like -10, we're going to see we're going to make it more obvious. We're creating a border all the way around like that. But what I want to do, And this is where I'm not very good with masks, but masks are definitely the solution here. There is still the WebKit mask as well, so just be careful. Mask now works in Chrome. Finally, it took forever, but just for further browser support, you might want to repeat it using the prefix here. But we're going to do a mask, and we're going to do, so with a mask, let's just set up a simple one of a linear gradient of black to transparent. And we're going to see, it's only at the top and it's fading away at the bottom. That's the purple. Yeah. So we have this has the blend mode on it because I put the blend mode on the text. I was wondering why it was kind of funky. That's kind of annoying. That's a negative side effect of this is there's a blend mode on it if I do it this way. And you can't turn the blend mode off. So I guess a better solution here would probably be if you had a card content div, card, and then the content. I didn't want to do it with an extra div, but it's so common that we do something like this anyway, right? So we can do that. Now we can see the purple properly. Okay. I think we'd need to do it like this. And then this wouldn't actually have to be like this. Then we could just do this on my card content. Yeah. I like my trick there, but if it wasn't for the blending mode on the text, we could get away with what I did. So if you don't want the blending mode, you don't need the card content. But because of that, we need to get rid of it. The paragraph also won't have it anymore. So this would be my card. I'd probably do card content star, just because if I go and look at this one, like everything here has the blending mode on it. So I would just put it on everything. So let's go and look at this masking. It's going to be more obvious what's happening. Whereas if I don't have it, we're going solid. And when I put this mask on, we're going black to transparent. So the mask is all based on the alpha value that's going on here. So this says full alpha, so it's fully visible. And then we're just going down to an alpha of 0, so it's fading down the opacity of it down to 0 at the very bottom. So instead of that, what I want to do, let's see if I can figure this out. My mask is going to be a linear gradient. Can I do my mask on different sizes? I'm not even sure about this. I was going to do it the same way. I know we can actually like layer masks and exclude things. And I'm thinking we might have to go that route. And I don't even know how to do that, but I know it's possible. We're going to try. Let's give this a border of, for now, 10 pixels. Solid. I just want to say, if I do green, I just want to look at it now. So yeah, that's going to fill in that 10 pixel thing that I did my inset here. And I'm going to do this as transparent instead. And then my mask, let's just put this to padding box and see what happens. Does that work? Oh, it does. Okay, perfect. So by doing this, my mask is only within the padding box. So it doesn't go all the way out into the border like it did before. Now I need the inverse of that. So we're actually going to have to look this up. Mask MDN. Because there's mask. I'm thinking I might need mask composite, but I might not even need that. I've looked into mask composite. The exclude is mask combined with background using non-overlapping parts. That's what I think is I might need to use this exclude here. Mask combined with background. So that's the background exclude. We're going to exclude might be what I want. Set the area affected by the image. So it's I think the origin that I'm doing now, but we can also clip it. What's the difference in the origin is what I'm changing right now, but maybe we want mask clip. Let's go look up mask clip here really quickly. Property determines the area which is affected by the painted content of an element must be restricted to this area. Maybe I am doing the clip now, and you can do multiple values. Content box is clipped to the content box, is clipped to the padding box, is clipped to the border box, is clipped to the object bounding box. The stroke bounding box. Can I use stroke box somehow? The problem is these are SVG properties, like stroke viewbox. So I'm not sure if we'll be able to use it. Yeah, all elements in SVG. It's the problem when we take SVG things and use them for non-SVG things. Border box, padding box, content. Oh, let's see. See, I need the opposite of that. It's not quite what I wanted. No, the clip's not going to work because I think the clip is going to just pull it in like I'm doing now. I think I need to do exclude, and I'm not padding. Let's take off this exclude. I just want to see what happens. Nothing is happening right now. I don't know if I have to have more than one for the exclude to work. Let's see if we can find another resource here. Exclude. I'm not doing mask image though. Mask composite. Well, I am, right? Because I am viewing mask image because I'm using a URL. This is what I'm doing. So here, multiple values. I am doing this. So do we have an exclude in here? Exclude. No. Mask position, mask composite. Composite is probably what I want. There's the exclude. Add, subtract, intersect. The non-overlapping regions of the associated mask image and the mask layers below it. Okay, we're going to try. If I understand this correctly, let's take this exclude. We're going to do two. Let's just keep this one here for now. We're going to come in with another one. This second, or do a comma, so they're both doing the same thing. And if on this one I do exclude, do they just disappear? No. But if I do it, it said beneath it, maybe if it's this one, exclude. Something happened, but not what I thought would happen. That's weird. Not at all what I expected. But let's also do this one as padding. No, do this one as padding box and see what happens. This is what I wanted, but this one will be black, black. What? Or it's going to be transparent, transparent? No, okay. It's solid here. So why is it doing that? Because when we're getting to the transparent, the exclude's doing something weird. What are other intersect? The parts associated with the mask image that overlap all composite. I don't want intersect. Subtract maybe is what I want. Where it falls outside all mask layers below it. Let's try subtract instead. Subtract. That's what we wanted. Awesome. So this is just like a solid mask that we're doing that. But then by using the subtract, we're only getting the one on the outside to work. Awesome. Now, I actually want this to be a solid as well, though. So I just want a solid color all the way around, and I'll explain why in a minute. My border radius is also, I think, a little screwed up because of how border radius works. So we're going to have to play with this. I think this is going to have to be a bit bigger. Actually, to get this exactly the right size, we're going to use a calc. Let's just make it a bit bigger, actually. Let's just do like I'm going to do a 1 rem. Let's do a 3 rem here. 3 rem, and I'll do the same one up here just to show you the problem. So I don't know how obvious this is. Let's zoom in a little bit. But you can actually see they don't line up perfectly here. So to be able to get that to actually line up exactly all the time, every time, I'm actually going to put a border radius here. I said we would do this. I'm just going to do as a BR. We're going to say 1 rem. So here I would do my var BR. And again, we should end up with, oh, that's my padding. Whoops. We'll do it here. Var BR, which that gives me my border radius on the inner one, and it's actually going underneath. Maybe you could get away with that a little bit looking at it now, but to make sure that it's always perfect, on this one, you would do a var of, or no, not a var, you do a calc of var br plus, I'm going to say 10 pixels for now, just to make sure. I basically want it to be the border size, so we'd probably end up making that a custom property too. So it's like the size of this plus the distance makes it all match up perfectly, is how that works. Okay, so we're pretty close, but now here, instead of a background of purple, I can just do a linear gradient. And if we look at what John had done, it goes from white to blue. It sort of has a black in the middle too. We could include that if we wanted to, but let's just do a white to our var color, or it was card BG, I think we called it. So that gives us that. That's the background. Okay, so what's happening now is the background, I put this border transparent. I don't know if, do I need that? Oh, I did. So I needed to put this so I could use the padding box here to make that work. The problem with a background image is it goes into the border areas, but if you have a transparent border, it's like repeating in those areas. If you're using the shorthand here, you can just come in and actually say this goes to the border box, and it will pull it and fill the border box as well. If you're not using the shorthand, you would just do this as a background origin. But we're using the shorthand, so we can do it like this. And then here I could say this is at 45 degrees and negative 45. I hate getting gradients that start in the top right. And I know you can use keywords. We're just going to do this because that's working just the wrong way around. So comma white here. Whoops, no, that comma should go here, white, and then this comma should go away. I'm getting a little messy, sorry about that. There we go. We go from white to a blue color down that way, and it does not look good with that. So let's come in with a border, or you know what, we're going to do that. It makes more sense for it to be here. So we can say border width. Yeah, border width of 1 pixel. And then that means here and here and here we come in with our var border width. The only problem is that's going to screw up my inset. So we're going to do a calc of that, except we have double, I did that everywhere because I guess I went a bit too fast. I wasn't paying enough attention. Here we're going to do a calc around this one of that times -1 to make sure we always get a negative value to pull it out. And there we go. It's working. It doesn't look quite perfect because we're getting a little bit of like aliasing going around right there. Let's just try for fun the border width of 2 instead of 1 to see if that cleans it up a little bit. It looks a little bit better, but I think it's better at 1. And can we do a 1.5? I'm never sure with the subpixel rendering if it's going to work. It did work, but it wasn't perfect. If we go back to John's, he does have a little bit there, and it's probably not pure white. And I think going into the darker colors in the middle works. So maybe we could change that gradient a little bit here to do like a transparent in the middle. And then this, instead of being white, could be like an HSL 0%, 90%. So it's like bright, but it's not 100% white. You can play with those numbers. The transparent definitely, I think, gets a bit more of the effect. We'd want to change the angle. I don't think my angle is quite right. And that would be, it's usually 2, right? 2 bottom right. And actually in this case, my white should have been first then. So 2 top left because I did my gradient sort of backwards. And that probably matches more what John had sort of set up and everything. And last thing we need on here is going back on the one that's setting, that's this one. I think there's a box shadow on there. Box shadow of 0, 0, and let's just do 1 rem and HSL 0, 0. I don't even think he set it up this way, but we'll do a 0, 0%, 0% over 0.25 or something. It would look better if we had the color and not just pure black, like if we used a similar color to our background. Actually, we could do that. Let's come in with some modern CSS. Let's do var HSL from var color BG HSL over 0.2 or something. which will take our background color. That should work. HSL from, is it not color background? What did I call it? Body background. Ah, there we go. Body background. I didn't use my usual naming convention. And so we're actually getting this blue color coming through, but with a lower opacity on there. And I think he did play with his offsets a little bit to get it to work, but I'm going to leave it like that. It looks fine. And it sort of helps us create that extra separation that he had going on there. And I'd probably want to play with this blending mode a little bit more if I was, to get it perfect, but I think it's actually really close. The technical challenges here with getting that border to work, I'm pretty happy that actually worked out in the end without having to just have like a div like this. I'm always annoyed when I have to do something like that. I'm like, I should be able to use a pseudo element instead. So just by having this element here, we can throw the pseudo element on that, but it still gets positioned relative to this one. It was kind of fun when it was on the paragraph, but yeah, I think I'm really actually happy with how that turned out. A few challenges along the way, and that's the fun thing with doing these is talking your way through the problems, going, oh, I think there's something like this. Let's look into it and find the solutions to it. Because I know sometimes people watch my videos and they think I know everything, but clearly there's still things I'll get stuck on, but I have enough experience with it to at least know what direction to look in. Sometimes you might not have that yet, but there's always ways of sort of digging and finding these types of things out, and hopefully this video helped highlight what some of those were. I really hope that you enjoyed watching it, and of course, until next time, don't forget to make your corner of the internet just a little bit more awesome.